Good evening, everyone. Startup Grind is a global startup community designed to educate, inspire, and connect entrepreneurs. We host monthly events in more than 150 cities in 65 countries, featuring successful founders, innovators, educators, and investors who share their personal stories and lessons learned on the road to building great companies. Our chapter started with 300 and has grown to 1,300 followers in 1 year. Our monthly fireside chat interviews, startup mixers, and annual conferences provide ample opportunities to connect with amazing startups and the people behind them. It's an opportunity to tap into a strong support network, form meaningful connections, and gain inspiration for the startup journey ahead. For more information, visit startupgrind.com or follow us on Twitter at startupgrind. I'll briefly introduce myself. My name is Amelia. I'm from the United States, and currently I'm the quality assurance analyst for an e-learning consultancy here in Dubai. In the meantime, I'm planning an event for a British branding magazine. They're going to be holding their second annual conference based on branding here in the Middle East. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest tonight, Lucy Chow. Lucy is the founder of the Elements Group, a Dubai-based events company serving prestigious clients across industries, ranging from finance to luxury brands and nonprofits. She's also the co-chair of Elevate, an international organization that believes in connecting, teaching, and investing in women. Lucy sits on the events committee of the Capital Club. She founded the Dubai chapter of Room to Read. Lucy is also a director and one of the founders of the Women Angel Investment Network. She's the non-executive director for Educate Girls Globally, an organization which works with governments and through empowering poor rural communities to promote education for girls in government schools. Previously, she has served on the UAE Committee for Acumen. Earlier in her career, she served as the Senior Vice President of Market Development in the Asia-Pacific region for HSBC. She holds an EMBA from Kellogg Graduate School of Management at Northwestern University and Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. This is not even the complete list of organizations to which she gives her time. So would everyone please join me in welcoming Lucy Chow.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
I would like to open up our fireside chat tonight by asking you how you think your vast experience and education has impacted and made it easier for you to found companies and nonprofits.
And I'm assuming that means like I've gone to so many different schools. It sounds like I don't know what I want in life. I think, for instance, the fact that all of you are here tonight is because you're continually learning. And so I'm a big believer that the world is changing so much that we need to go back to school continuously. It's a privilege to be able to go to school. And I guess the different paths that I've taken have been very deliberate in terms of where I wanted to be in terms of my next step in life. So for instance, going to do the executive MBA, I did that while I was still working at HSBC. It was pretty tough, but it was necessary because I felt that if I didn't get that qualification under my belt, it wasn't going to get me to the next level. Even at that point, I felt whilst I was still working in an organization, I thought one day I would want to start my own business. And actually today, Sarah coined a great term. I was entrepreneurious. So I was curious about what it meant to be an entrepreneur. I didn't feel that I had the knowledge without going back and learning more about what it meant to start a company, to manage a P&L. I managed a P&L at work, but I needed to understand what that meant if I had to bootstrap and start my own company one day. Just most recently, if I could just continue, I'm also a big believer in trying to promote getting more women on board. And then I realized at one point, well, hey, wait a minute, I should be promoting myself to sit on a board. But again, before I do that, I need to understand what that means beyond what I think it means. So I went and did a women directors program that was offered by the University of Hong Kong. So I did that last year for 2 weekends and got accreditation and a much better understanding of what it means to have governance on board.
Okay, so you said for yourself, you felt like you wouldn't be able to take it to the next step and start your company without the EMBA. How important do you think it is for other entrepreneurs who are about to start their company to go back and get a master's of business? Or do you think there are other ways that they could utilize their time and still start the company and get educated at the same time?
I mean, listen, there's so many stories about people that have dropped out of schools, like other schools, to start amazing companies. So just because it's right for one person to do that lockstep process of going to school before they do something like this doesn't mean it's for everyone. And you know yourself what you're missing. I guess one of the best pieces of advice I was given was to know what your weaknesses are, and then to surround yourself with either a partner or partners or people that can complement you. So for instance, I found out quite early on that I'm a good ideas person, but maybe I'm not the best on the accounting side, and that if I ever were to start a company, I needed to balance that. I need to balance my weakness with having a partner or an individual that could bring in a more sort of focused view on the P&L side.
So which came first, your desire to start a company or your idea for the company?
And definitely there was a desire, and then also just asking a lot of people and going to events like this. I mean, now, when I'm talking about when I had this idea was probably about 15 years ago, and now, the ecosystem is so rich for people that want to become entrepreneurs, where you can have a whole community of people that you can access. So again, that's learning in itself. You don't need to go to school necessarily now, when you have huge communities like this.
So when did you feel like you were ready to start the company? Or how long did you sit with the idea until you took action?
Yeah, I guess I want to talk a bit about failure first. And, this is an evening, I think, where you're going to learn more about hearing from my failures and any success that I might have had. And again, true to my personality, I wanted to sort of try out being an entrepreneur. So I didn't go out there and do it all by myself. It kind of sort of fell into my lap. The very first opportunity was when someone that I had known for 10 years as a supplier to me, when I was at HSBC, I ran the regional marketing for HSBC in Asia for one of the investment banking lines. And he approached me and said, listen, I know you're going to Dubai. I want to expand there. How about you come and be a partner and start up an office for me in Dubai, and we can be business partners. And that entailed me investing $100,000. And I've known this person for a long time. I know the business model. I was certain it would work. I thought it was a real amazing opportunity, and frankly, a great way for me to dip my toe into the world of being an entrepreneur. So fast forward probably 6 months into that relationship, and then I realized I had kind of negotiated my shares and my holdings incorrectly. And then I was kicking myself because I was like, I know better than this. How did I get myself in this situation? I'm putting in all the sweat equity, I'm putting in the equity, And so I went back to him at that point to try to renegotiate the terms. And at that point, we parted ways because he wasn't willing to move on any of the original parameters. So I guess that taught me that, even if you've known someone for a long time, you have to just really make sure you protect yourself. And again, we had it all, well, it was all on paper, legal documents and so forth, but, it's still a really painful lesson to have gone through. And yes, and I lost the money.
So, what resources and connections have you used to leverage being successful in Dubai? Like, what regional assets have helped you here?
I guess I feel, and I'm sure you all agree with me, Dubai is a very small place. We were just talking about that, and it's a very welcoming community. So I guess I've just relied on being able to tap different networks, being able to put feelers out with different people. One of the things I do want to talk about later on is having a mentor, which is something, unfortunately, I wasn't very good at cultivating and didn't really realize I needed. And in hindsight now, we all need mentors. It doesn't matter where you are in your stage of development. You could be the CEO of a company and you still need a mentor. And so I guess I've just been very fortunate to have a very broad base of contacts. And I'm not, I'm not mercenary in terms of using my contact base, but I assume if I go out and I ask people for advice, they would be more than willing to give it, and that's just the nature of Dubai, I think.
So going off of the getting the advice and the mentorship, how do you suggest that these people that are entrepreneurs starting out, how do you think they should identify good mentors for themselves?
You probably come across so many people, even just when you come and listen to people talking here and you're like, okay, that person really resonates with me. Just ask. You'd be surprised how many people think, oh, I can't ask that CEO of Google. He's got probably tons of people that ask him every day. You'd be surprised how many people are not asked to be mentors. And you need to ask. You need to find someone that you think, okay, has great relevant experience to you and resonates with you for some reason, and can devote time to helping you with your business processes.
Okay, so you already touched on a bit of a failure, but what kind of regrets and mistakes, how have those helped you, and what are some of them that have impacted your path?
Yeah, I guess I regret investing money that, I guess I should have ring-fenced a little bit better. I mentioned about not having asked for mentorship throughout my career. I think that was probably a big mistake because, with the mentorship, that would have probably gotten me further, quicker, and I probably would have gotten great advice. For instance, oh, don't go into this partnership or don't do this without X. Regrets probably not starting an international career earlier. I actually really value having global experience. And so it's very important to continue that. So I've been very comfortable in Dubai. We're 8 years here now. But before that, we spent a long time in Asia. And, I think Latin America would be another great place to go to. So I think it's very important to go and uproot yourself. And if you don't want to uproot yourself, then maybe finding a business partner in another part of the world is very important in terms of continually growing a business. The world's just a smaller place now. So, and again, it's not something I've done. I'm usually quite geography centered with my work. So I think it's important to find partnerships outside of your geography.
Okay, I'm gonna ask that you get a little bit more specific with some of your projects right now, like the Women Angel Investment Network and the Educate Girls Globally, and how those came about.
Yeah, how many of you here have gone for angel investing or crowdsourcing or have any interest in that? Because if you don't have any interest in that, we don't need to talk about that. It's the Women Angel Investment Network. There's an amazing group of women that are part of it. They've got backgrounds, or some of them come from WAMDA. Some of them have been with the Khalifa Fund. So they really understand startups and are really contributing to that ecosystem. And I guess that was one reason why I wanted to be part of Wayne, because the focus on Wayne is we want to fund companies that are women-led. That doesn't mean that there doesn't have to be a man involved. As long as the company is 50% female-owned, then we want to fund them. And so we started about a year and a half, 2 years ago. It's been a very interesting learning experience, and I'll be very very honest. It was fabulous in terms of the submissions that we received. It was humbling to see. We probably had over 100 submissions, and then to see, and they came from all around the region. And to see people opening up their life dreams to us and just sort of laying it out there in terms of their aspirations was really phenomenal. It was really humbling for our group. It was a very tough decision, narrowing it down from 100, and we eventually shortlisted, I think, about 9 companies and had them come and pitch. And then from there we narrowed it down to 3, and we put together due diligence teams for each of the 3. Now it's interesting that the one of the 3 that was shortlisted that we ultimately did not fund, and I'm not going to mention the company, it does not exist anymore. So it's good in terms of the fact that it taught us that we made a good decision in that instance. And I guess, just to tell you, what is it that angel groups look for? What are some of the key things that we would be looking for? And one is obviously, what is your business? What is it that you can tell me about your business? I was just reading a statement by another angel investor, and he said that he likes to have a mantra. He doesn't believe in elevator speeches anymore. He's like, I want to know what your mantra is. And he was giving an example of a company called Volke, Volke. And he said their mantra is that we are the Skype of town hall meetings. And so in that short, few words, you kind of get that, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. So you help put together conversations, and there's a group involved. And he's like, that's all I want. I don't want a long elevator speech. And so if you can't, crystallize your business in those keywords, then it's hard to differentiate yourself. So it's interesting, right? So what is your business? The management team. Who's on your management team? And we looked a lot for experience. You've talked about my background a little bit, and it's interesting. So one of the safe areas, I guess, for an angel is to see that someone on the management team has in their CV, a well-known name, right? They've been with some brand, they've been with a big company that everyone knows and everyone understands. And I guess there's a comfort in that. I'm not sure that every angel group will agree with that, but I think many would, right? Because if you're trying to lessen your risk, right? If I see that all of you have been with a Fortune 500 company at one point in your life, it's a safe bet, right? It categorizes that you've had some experience with some sort of company, and that you've already been screened to some effect. what amount of money, sorry, I'm just gonna go with one, and this is an important thing. So what are you gonna do with the money, and what amount of money are you looking for? So you're here, right, you're pitching to an angel group, you're here for money. What are you gonna do with the money? And how much do you want? And so you need to put out and outline how you're gonna invest your money. And we wanna see growth. We wanna see a realistic sort of step-by-step process of how that money is going to be spent, and how quickly you're going to be burning through that money. I mentioned bootstrapping earlier on. It's very important to see that, and that anyone in front of us has gone through the process of bootstrapping. It's fine if you've gotten money from family, friends. A lot of people, that's how they start their company, right? And especially if you go down that route, we want to see that you're not burning through that cash, very quickly. And then very lastly, what your exit strategy is. So, as you probably know, or maybe you don't know, that there's not many people that take companies public anymore. So it's not that, as an angel, we want to hear, hey, ultimately you're going to take your company public. That doesn't happen very much anymore. We just want to know that you've thought through your exit strategy.
Okay, I'm going to open it up for a couple of questions for her. Does anybody have a question that they would like to ask Lucy right now? Yes.
I know what kind of amount.
Hold on, do we have a mic for him?
I want to know what kind of amount you're talking about funding.
The angel group I was part
The
of.
range or just
Yeah,
an idea?
we've invested $100,000 in US in this company, and we're just looking now to expand our group, and that's probably about the right kind of sweet spot that for angel funds. What's missing is, for most entrepreneurs, is funders between the 100,000, $500,000 mark. And so angels try to kind of fit into that area.
Just really quickly, you elaborated on your educational experience. You went to MBA, and you also have startup capital to invest. But there's a lot of people who don't have those privileges, like they don't have access to education of that regard or capital. What scrappy ideas did you have or heard of other people utilizing to start their businesses, to launch and deploy at scale within the Dubai region that you can think of? Yeah.
Yeah, as you know, Christine, it's such an expensive city, Dubai, right? And yeah, I mean, I guess scrappy ideas is being really smart on your marketing, right? And trying to figure out, okay, what can I do to get my brand noticed, or how can I get out there so that people start spreading the word about me? And this is the great thing about Dubai, you can really use that small network. So if I can use a fabulous example, and she's here tonight, Sarah. Sarah has a company called Bowery and Fork, and she does tailored women's clothing. And so I hope I can use your example. I'm actually wearing one of her suits. And what she did was she went out and she said to someone that's very well known in this community, she said, do you have a few women that you could recommend to me, where I can, maybe make a tailored suit for them, but that they'll also spread the word about what I do. And that way I'll get more clients and so forth. And so that's what Sarah's done. That's just one thing that she's done. And so there's a lot of ways to really leverage the amazing community here. And if you ask, people will help you. There's a real big heart, I think, in Dubai, especially if they know that you're working on a shoestring.
Okay, you said at the beginning about the 100,000 that you spent. If anyone asks you for advice about starting their own company, would you tell them to spend their own money or to find ways to find investors to spend on their ideas?
So if you have investors, you would be diluted, typically, right? So I guess it's a toss-up. If you have that money, and that 100,000 was not easy to come by, right? I worked a long time before I thought, okay, I'm willing to invest this amount of money that I've saved for a rainy day. And at that point, I wanted to have 50% ownership. That's why I put it in my own money and only my money. If you are okay with sharing the equity of your company, then absolutely ask for money from others. However, you have to also make sure whoever you decide to bring on has real value add. So sometimes you take money, but then you realize, darn, they're not that quiet investor I thought they would be. They're actually, not really helping me. They're stressing me out and they're making it more difficult. So yeah, you just have to see what's the motivation of taking in that extra money.
All right, thank you everyone for attending, and thank you so much for joining us, Lucy.
Thank you.
Thank you.